Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stelezzi here, and I'm going to be doing an Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition Cassie game. It's been probably close to, like a third of a year or something since I've done these as separate uploads, but here we go. Today we got Breaking Me versus Batu in a 1v1. And before we get started, let's check out the map and see how it might affect the gameplay here. So on this map, we got two trade routes. We got one over here, and we got one over here. These are basically going to be tied to one player or the other. China's probably going to use more or less this one, and Red more or less this one. In terms of natives, we got the Apache, so a Dragoon, and we also have the Comanche, another Dragoon. So a lot of counter cavalry from the natives. So this should be pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's get started now. Alright, so up here we have China. China being a very good civ for either going semi-FF, FF, or an all-in Age 2 sort of attack with their War Academy banner armies. On the other side, we got the Dutch. A very good civ for getting coin from their banks, and they can do all sorts of cool stuff. They can either go skirm pikey, they can go skirm hussar, they can do stuff with mercenaries. I always liked the resource flexibility the Dutch have always offered me in matches, honestly. I wonder if Batu will be able to really unlock the potential of this civ here. We'll see. You do have to watch out with China, though, with their pretty strong aggro, you know. Once China gets a pretty good mass going, they can use all sorts of stuff to attack you. You know, they got their pretty spammable banner armies, and then, of course, the hand mortars, which double up as culves and mortars, yeah. So, I'm looking forward to this one. China grabs a trading post. Every Chinese build order, at least I've seen in 2 or 3 years of doing Definitive Edition, everybody does the trading post, you know. It just helps the shipments come on time for the civ, and it's really important to have it, you know. And as far as affording your wood, what you're supposed to do is basically have a few villas on wood so you can afford your village and don't get housed, while still getting that trading post. Looks like he did that pretty well. Yep, his vill queue is still on, so he's doing that. The card of choice will be T-Export. The main idea with doing this is because it will basically set you up for getting a blockhouse in the early game. And the reason you want a blockhouse is because not only does it give you a bit of defense and a bit of map control around your area or wherever you want to put it, you can train banner armies from that blockhouse. So it actually acts as your starting production building. So that's why T-Export is such a great card to send as China, as the first one. Because normally you're not going to be able to afford getting that blockhouse any other way, right? Because you're saving 200 wood with the consulate rickshaw, and then you're getting the export trickle, which is already getting you off to a very nice start to being able to afford. Now, okay, so he does something totally different that I did not expect. He goes with the French. Now, the French give you resource crates, and that can actually help you out to reinforce your economy throughout the match, right? I guess he's deciding to get the food now so he can age up a bit faster. I never thought of that, you know? This is quite interesting, actually. I did not think of this before, because when I first started playing China, I used to always do infinite 300 food in my deck. So, looks like Breaking Me figured out a way of still getting that 300 food for the quicker age up, while still having a consulate already built and in line to getting grenadiers or something. Oh yeah, big time. And don't forget too, having the French allies active will improve your villagers' gather rates a little bit as well. So I mean, there's a bit of an economic perk to having that consulate available so early, you know. Yeah, those bear armies, you know, they can cost quite a bit, you know. They contain armies of around 6 or so units, so I mean, they're not cheap. So anything you can do to get that economy rolling a bit faster, definitely recommended. So what's the wonder going to be? The porcelain tower, a bit unorthodox. Mostly you're going to see the summer palace is the first one. I guess the point of doing the porcelain tower is a lot of extra resources in the early game that you can use for different things, instead of going for those sort of free banner armies that the Summer Palace would provide you. And how's the deck looking, by the way? So the deck does give him the option to fight in Age 2. He's got just about every necessary Age 2 shipment for combat, including the Diplomatic Intrigue and the Rattan Shields. Also has some pretty good stuff in Age 3 as well, if he does want to go to Age 3. I like this one here, the Beiyang Army. Not only does it ship you a good number of cav units, but it gets them up to their veteran upgrade as well, which is pretty cool. Infinite Kejik, so he does have some infinite shipment flexibility there if you get stuck in Age 3. I like that. So far, so good. Starting out with the Step Riders. The Step Riders are a really good starting raiding unit, and they're also really good at fighting skirms, which is one of the main units of the Dutch. You know, one of the scariest parts of playing the Dutch is one of the disadvantages is the fact that they do not have musketeers in the early game. So they either have to have pikemen, hussars, or skirmies for the most part, which means the Step Riders, you know, they have a bit of a higher likelihood against the Dutch of actually wiping out their starting army, depending on what they start with, right? Right now, Dutch is on 3 banks, which is pretty solid for them at this stage. You know, the way you usually do Dutch is try to get your first bank going while you're aging up, try to get your second bank soon after, and then use your bank wagon card like he's doing conveniently here to construct another bank, right? From the looks of it, he's kind of going with something I usually do, which is trying to go to about 4 banks. So using the quartermaster's wood and food that you basically acquired to get 3 banks, and then get the bank wagon with as your 4th one. So he's going super greedy. He's getting his 5th bank. Wow, look at this. What's his economy right now? So he's been able to herd in the bison pretty appropriately here so far, as well as the deer. So yeah, with this good macro, he has been able to afford enough food to keep up with the banking so much. And he's going for religious freedom. He's going even greedier now. Wow. The reason you would want to get this royal decree here is because they have a good technology that will actually improve your build limit of banks by +2, which is quite good. Yeah. Essentially, it gives you such a good coin eco that you can really start adding in things like outlaws and mercenaries without too much of a challenge at that point, you know. Which is one of the things the Dutch does really well that no other civs really do, is their ability to keep conga lines of outlaws and mercenaries coming out without any sort of trouble, really, you know. If China, for instance, wanted to do like a monastery and start doing mercenaries and outlaws, it would detract from their macro a bit, you know. They'd have to start planning. As for Dutch, it comes naturally. Speaking of China, they're going up with the Confucian Academy right now. This is quite an interesting philosophy here by China, and I like it. Also, Dutch is aging up too, it looks like, so they're both aging up. They're both going to be in Age 3 when they battle, it looks like. Yeah. Looks like China's also getting a forward castle. This will obviously be used mainly for hand moors. Yeah, that's one of the best ways to take out a base as China is hand mortars, and that's why he's putting this castle right here, because he does not want these hand mortars to have to walk all the way from over here and give the Dutch more reaction times. That's why he's planted dab snab right here in the sort of middle of the map here, so he can get them to point B very quickly. Yep, he's even shipping the 7 hand moors shipping in right now. Also bringing in the wood from the French consulate. It looks like these resource crate technologies are really coming in handy for him in ways I wouldn't expect. Yeah, he's going to be able to get another batch of these hand moors very quickly as well. And probably some sort of unit from... Does he have a war academy yet? He does even have a war academy, and he's already pressuring so hard. Also sending in a support shipment here of Kejiks and Step Riders, so he's doing quite well. He's able to get these up to veteran stats without even having a War Academy just because of that card. Oh, but look though. Oh no, he goes for the Red Lancers on the Dutch side. This is pretty dangerous, you know. These are no ordinary Stradiates, by the way. They also get an added Sawar-like multiplier once you send that Royal Decree technology, which means they get an add multiplier against skirmish units, so like skirmishers, making the Stradiates even more stronger than they normally are. Yeah. And I believe it also unlocks them at the tavern if they aren't already there as well. So, yeah. How many banks is he on at this point? He's only on 5. He has not been able to acquire the other 2 yet from the Royal Decree, it looks like. Does need a bit of resources for that. See, it looks like he's going to do is he's going to go for Red Lancer Stradiates, hoping that the multipliers against skirmishers will definitely destroy these Arquebusiers, and hopefully the Imperial Hussar-like stats of the Stradiate will be enough to sort of tank these squishier Chinese cavalry units, even these Kejiks. He's going to need some numbers for it, you know, and he's also bringing in both Cavalry Cuirass for HP, as well as Cavalry Combat to bring up the HP and the attack. This will basically give him a really good setup for tanking those arrows from the Cav Archers. But we'll see though, I mean, his town center is currently under fire. So he needs to really think of a quick defense to this TC, else he might lose it in the process. Yeah, the town center will deal some pretty good damage to these cav units, so that's definitely helping him out a little bit there, which is pretty good. Yeah. What now? How many strads is he on? He's on about 5 of them. Looks like 4 more coming in as well. I think China caught him a bit early here. That's why I think happened. China's timing attack here was just really efficient. Very efficient. Because I think if China delayed any time here, Dutch would have a nice big stack of Stradiates and it would probably look a lot more bleak. But because he was able to get the jump on the Dutch before they could get enough Stradiates, he was able to pull off this siege and get the town center down now. No more defense for the villagers, right? And now we can start using those hand mowers to go after the next target, the banks. Once the banks are down, Dutch is gone. It's the banks that basically are the lifeblood of the Civ, really. So if you can snipe any of them with things like pikes or hand mowers at any point, boy, you're going to have an easy time against the Dutch, you know. It looks like we're looking at the end of the rope for this Dutch. Yeah. Once the banks go down, they go down. It's basically guaranteed. This was a really good show of a unique setup for the Chinese that I'm not used to. French consulate with Porcelain Tower followed by Confucian Academy, completely bypassing the Summer Palace. I don't know if this is a new build that's come out for the past few months or so, but it's looking pretty promising, you know. I don't know if I would do it personally because I still would rather have the free banner armies, either the old Han ones or the standard ones, to fall back on, but that's totally up to you. If you think having the resources from the Porcelain Tower is something you're worth going into. And what setting does he have it on? So he has it on like the standard setting as well, so it's not like specifically specializing in food, coin, or wood. He's going for, you know, a little bit of everything. The jack of all trades option. A little bit of food, a little bit of wood, a little bit of coin, a little bit of export and XP. So, yeah. I mean, these Stradiates still doing quite a bit of damage here, you know. Just imagine if Dutch had a little bit more time to get out like 5 or 10 more of these in a stack. Yeah, I think we'd be looking at a totally different battle there, and sure enough, he resigns. Good match on both sides. We could totally check out the post game now and look for any big things. Dutch still had more resources, mainly because of the banks. In terms of military, got a lot of takedowns there. Look at that. Those Stradiates really did a lot of work. I think if he had like maybe like 40, 45, I think he would have probably cleaned that up. But again, That's why timing attacks are really important in Definitive Edition. You just need to make sure that you're paying attention to that sort of thing. Otherwise, it just doesn't, yeah. Alright, so let's look at the military population as well to see. Yeah, I mean, China just had so much little stuff there. There was like one pop that he was able to overcome the more pop-heavy strats. Yeah, there you go. I think that was a fun one. So, see you in the next Casa game we do. I think we have a few more of them to do as well. So, signing off now from this one. GG, well played, everybody.